Okay, so basically, I wanted to talk about the new live action Dragon Ball. Okay, so let me give a rundown. Basically, I've been a Dragon Ball fan pretty much since I was a little kid, and I'm a lot older now. Not old, obviously, but I'm in college. So basically, yeah, I've liked it for a while. I'm not the biggest fangirl as regards to Dragon Ball, but definitely have been into it. I know a lot about it. I haven't seen every single episode of Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, but definitely a fan of the manga, and I do own some of them, and I did watch a lot of it, and I do have a pretty decent understanding of the series. So I guess when I first heard about a live action for Dragon Ball a few years ago, I was really excited about it, just like tons of other people were. You know, it was like, oh yes, a Dragon Ball live action. It was the biggest thing ever, pretty much. I think a lot of people felt the same way about Dragon Ball when they first found out there was going to be a live action. Funimation posted it on their website, and at the time I was really excited, and I couldn't wait. I mean, I didn't want anything more than to see, you know, the show I always loved or whatever on the big screen. So it was pretty cool. But then, you know, you heard things like it was postponed or it was canceled, it wasn't happening. It's kind of disappointing, but, you know, whatever. Fast forward to now, and, you know, you hear 2009, they're actually going to make the movie again. And, you know, I wasn't as excited as I was the first time around, because I started to think to myself, look at Dragon Ball. It's a series that's got, you know, monsters, and it's got, you know, fictional humanoid slash animal characters. You know, you've got Puar, you've got Oolong, you've got King Kai, you've got all these crazy characters, and I'm thinking this movie's gonna need some serious CGI. Not that it's not possible with today's technology, but really, it's kind of not that realistic, you know, to think that you can really make a movie that's that good and not too silly. Of Dragon Ball, you know, I've seen some pretty bad Dragon Ball cosplays. I've always said Dragon Ball is the one anime people cannot cosplay, because 90% of the time it just looks ridiculous. So wasn't too optimistic about a live action, but, you know, I still said, hey, maybe this can be cool. Till I heard about the casting list. Well, what can I say? Let's start with Amy Rossum. I think, despite what a lot of people say, she makes a decent Dragon Ball character, and I think she makes a great Bulma. Obviously, there could be better people casted as Bulma, but I don't think she's as bad as everyone, you know, keeps making out to be. My major problem is with the lead, Goku. Okay, I know some people will say, oh, you know, he looks like Goku, you know, he's got the facial features, he's got big eyes, he's got dark hair, his hair kind of looks like Goku, he can fight or whatever, he's skinny, just like Goku was in the beginning of Dragon Ball. All that's true, but I'm still a firm believer that he's like the last person you could pick for the role of Goku. Really, if you saw Justin Chatwin like 3 years ago walking down the street, would you ever look at him and think, wow, that guy could be Goku, that guy could be a Super Saiyan, that guy could kick some ass? Seriously, Justin Chatwin, really? I mean, even the way he looks in the movie, I mean, I haven't seen the movie isn't out yet, but in the trailer, in the pictures, he looks so serious. And anyone who knows Dragon Ball knows that Goku is supposed to be carefree, you know, he's supposed to be naive, easygoing, you know. He's serious when he's fighting, but, you know, otherwise he's pretty calm, pretty chill, you know, pretty optimistic, pretty laid back. I just don't see it with Goku in this movie. And that's a major problem. And Roshi, what the hell? Like, really, Chow Yun Fat just looks like Chow Yun Fat. He does not look anything like Roshi. Roshi's bald, Roshi's got glasses, Roshi's a perv. Can you see that, any of that going on there? It's not gonna happen. It's a family movie. And as anyone who really knows Dragon Ball Z knows, Dragon Ball Z isn't really family movie friendly. There's quite a bit of racy stuff in there sometimes. But, putting that aside. What can I say? My beef with Goku also extends beyond, though, the fact that it's Justin Chatwin, and he makes a terrible Goku, at least from what I can see so far, just looks-wise, and even personality-wise, because, you know, I am a firm believer that Goku should be Asian. I mean, okay, yeah, he isn't. You know, it's great. I mean, I obviously don't know that Fox isn't gonna, you know, suddenly recast him or whatever. I mean, he is Goku. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it. But before you knock me for thinking that or having that kind of view towards this role, let me kind of explain myself, or at least point out some things that a lot of people have been saying to people like me who think Goku, you know, shouldn't, you know, it doesn't matter what race Goku is, you know, whatever Goku is, he's still Goku, blah, blah, blah. Who said Goku was Asian? I just want to make some things kind of clear here. A lot of people are saying Goku's not Asian because in Dragon Ball there is no Asia. Now, that is true. There is no Asia in Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball is a fantasy land. It's made up. Akira Toriyama said himself that he based Dragon Ball purely out of his imagination, right? So we know this isn't Japan. We know this isn't the typical, this takes place in Tokyo anime, right? It's fine. But despite the fact that this is not Asia, let's keep in mind the fact that it doesn't mean that the characters are not Asian. For example, we've got characters like Nam from Dragon Ball Saga, the tournament. Nam? He looks Indian to me. He may not be from India because there's no India, but can you really look at him and say he's not Asian? You've got characters like, I forget his name, little kid, clearly Native American. You've got Tai Pei. I would say he's Chinese. You've got characters like Black, you know. I would say he's of African American descent. I mean, it's ridiculous when people say things like, there's no Asia, so he's not Asian. Doesn't mean that there aren't characters in Dragon Ball that represent various cultures, various ethnicities. You know, there are many like this in Dragon Ball. There might not be in India, there might not be in Africa, there may not be in Europe, there may not be America, but guess what? There's still characters that represent these nationalities, regardless of what fantasy land this might be. So that's one thing I always have beef with. Then a lot of people like to say, well, Goku is an alien, so he can't be Asian because he's a Saiyan. Let me remind you that Goku doesn't look like E.T. Goku is still very much based on a human being. Let's remember that this tale is based on Journey to the West, which is a Chinese tale, an Asian tale, and it's something that's been around for a long time. And I'll tell you this, Goku's based on Monkey King, and his name in Japan is Son Goku. So Goku is based on a Chinese figure. So he's Chinese inspired. Toriyama said himself that Dragon Ball is inspired by Journey to the West. So clearly the whole atmosphere of martial arts, you know, Chinese legend, Roshi, Grandpa Gohan, it's all Asian. So that's one thing I'm going to tell you right there. Plus, when it started out, Goku wasn't an alien. He only became a Saiyan later on in the series. So I'm sure the envision for him wasn't, oh, this guy is a Saiyan. He's an Asian. Also, note that Vegeta said himself that Saiyans have black hair. All Saiyans have black hair. I think if there's anything we can agree on, I think we can agree that that's something unique pretty much to Asians. That's at least something that a lot of Asians tend to have. I think it's an alien race, probably based along Asians, who happen to be very muscular. I don't know.